Alright, so we just got some snow last night, unexpectedly. But our plan today, because it's going to be like 50 degrees and sunny all day somehow, our plan today was to change the spark plugs on the Trailblazer and then going to do the e-brake bracket on the 3000 and try and get that as far done as I possibly can. Because we're having a car meet Tuesday night and I want to bring the 3000 down, so I want to have those brake lines all reconnected and bled out and all situated when that time comes. So the Trailblazer, pull the intake off. Right now I'm pulling all the coil packs out, and this is going to be an interesting one because cylinder 5 and 6 are down there underneath the wiper cowl, so they're going to be tough to get to, but I don't think it'll be too bad of a job. And then we're going to clean the throttle body too, because it is black. It's kind of disgusting looking. Here, I'll show you. The throttle body is very dirty looking, so I'm curious to see what the plugs look like, because these, as far as I'm aware, are the original spark plugs. Engine has about 170,000 miles on it, and it looks like that throttle body hasn't been cleaned. I'm curious. I'm really interested to see, once we pull the throttle body off, how dirty the backside of it is, because these motors are known, the straight sixes are known for like blow by and just crap getting gunked up on that throttle body. All right, all the coil packs are out, and now we're gonna start pulling plugs. So we got spark plug number 1 out. And will it focus? Let me back it out. There we go. Maybe you can kind of see. It's pretty normal wear, but it is worn. That thing is gunky and gross. And let's see what the brand is. Oh, these are Autolite double platinums. So these are actually replaced at some point with Autolite double platinums, but I'm gonna...
That's what you got?
What?
Is that what you got?
Yeah, so I bought Autolites as well, but I went with the Autolite Iridiums because these trucks actually came with Iridiums from the factory. So whoever replaced these plugs put in a double platinum plug, which, you know, I know sounds better, but some engines just like running better on what the factory spec was. So we're going to be replacing them with these Autolite Iridium XPs. Plug number 2 out. And
Hang on, it's not focused.
this one, if you can see, has a bunch of just crud. Let me wipe some of it off on it. You can see on my finger there. So another one down. I'm really curious to see how much better this truck feels once we get full fresh plugs in. So we're just taking a new plug, throw a little anti-seize on it, or way too much anti-seize, whatever works. And then I have this little fancy tool here. It's just a piece of rubber you slide the plug into, and you throw it on down in there. So now I'm just going to go through, take the rest of the plugs out, and I'll show you guys what they all look like stacked up next to each other when I'm done. Plugs are done. I got all the new ones in and tightened. And this is what we pulled out. Cylinder number 3 was one of the worst for having crap all over it. 5 and 6 were pretty bad as well. But cylinder 4 was definitely the worst plug. The diode, or whatever you want to call it, around everyone else was like kind of white still. This one was pretty burnt up looking. These were double platinums. We went back to the OEM style Iridiums, and now I'm going to throw all the coil packs back on. We're gonna wipe the throttle body out and start this thing up and make sure everything is good. And then we're going to start working on the 3000. That's the more highly anticipated part of this video. All right, so we wiped the throttle body clean. Basically, this rag was clean before I started. So that's what it looks like after wiping it down. Intake resonator is back on. Everything is all hooked up. So I'm gonna pull my little sheet here back and we'll start it up. And there we go, it runs. Now it is time to start relocating the hydro handbrake on the 3000. So I disconnected the battery, so everything has no power. And basically my first approach here is going to be removing taking the hydro off of the whole bracket mess that we have going on here, and taking the center console out so we can have access to the shifter assembly and basically figure out where we have to drill our holes on our plate. We got all the bolts holding the handbrake down here off, so basically I can just take this and put it off to the side. I'm gonna take the little pipe extension off. I'll just make some more room. So I can lay this off to the side and continue by taking the bracket off, and then all the braces that I made for the center console, I can take all those off, and then from here on out it's kind of just taking a center console out of a 3000 like you would normally. Alright guys, so the center console is out and the 4 bolts that go around the shifter base are out. So I can basically lift up the shifter base like so. So as I mentioned in the last video, the plate is going to go underneath of the shifter base and kind of stick out, overlap, and hang out here. So basically now I need to figure out how far I need the piece to stick out for the handbrake to mount in a good position. And what actually sucks is that there's enough slack in the brake lines right here that I can actually just switch it over to the other side of the console and kind of put it where I would want it to be. But I have the Wilwood master cylinder, so I have to disassemble this whole thing anyways and crack the system open. But I'm actually really happy just to know that I'm not going to need any more brake line, and then I have plenty of slack to do what I need to do. And it's nice and narrow, and it actually sits in a pretty good spot. I like that. I think this is going to work out pretty well for me here. So this is kind of how I'm feeling it right now. I got the plate laid under there. The shifter is in the general vicinity. I'll, mark out the holes as where they have to be drilled out. But this is pretty much where I want the plate sitting. It doesn't hit the seat, but I have the handbrake pretty much slid back to the edge of the plate. The brake lines are tucked around the factory handbrake that isn't even connected to anything. Actually, you know what? I could just get rid of this. It's literally a couple bolts. Factory handbrake might be going. Actually, factory handbrake is going. So here we have the handbrake out on the bench. We took the fitting out from here. This is the fitting that goes to the back. This is the fitting that comes in from the front of the car. So that should give us enough room. We're gonna get the Allen bolts here out and remove the master from the bracket. It's out, we have the bare bracket. Now we need to see if the thread pitch on the rod for this master is the same as the one on the Wilwood. Easiest way to do that is to just take this little nut off, and we're gonna see if I can thread it on there. And I just tried to thread it on. It's not the same thread pitch. It looks like the Wilwood is a finer thread pitch than the eBay. So we're probably gonna have to swap these rods over, which on the Wilwood it looks like just a little snap ring, and we should be able to disassemble it. And let's see how the eBay one is. The eBay one looks to be the same. Little snap ring to hold it in. So let me grab the snap ring pliers. We should be able to break this down. I'm also going to see if the holes line up. It looks like they should. So that's a plus. All right, so I took the snap ring out of the master cylinder, the eBay one first. And this is basically what it looks like. It's just a little domed washer that holds the rod in place. Now I'm going to do the Wilwood one. So just put the snap ring pliers in, pinch together, and the whole thing pulls right out. And then this will allow me to swap the rod over. I'm going to see if the heads of the rod are comparable. They're basically the same, same dome and everything. This has a little grease on it, so I'm going to grab some grease and throw it on here. Alright, so we got a little grease on this rod, so the rod fits well into the Wilwood. I'm going to use the Wilwood washer just because it's new. And if I can remember which way I want this one. And then basically same process with the snap ring. Gotta get it. The pliers in. Pull it shut. Press it in. And release. And looks like it almost went in. There we go. Looks like we're in completely. Thread this out of the way. Thread this guy on. So the rod is threaded in. We'll adjust it a little further. Now the Wilwood matches up perfectly with the holes that were on here. So I'll throw the Allen bolts back in. Tighten them down. Thread these fittings back in. We'll get these tightened up to then bench bleed. Basically all we had to do was swap out the rod from the Wilwood unit and swapped it with the one from the eBay master cylinder unit. So now we're going to tighten down the fittings and get this thing bench bled so I can throw it into the car and attach the fittings. And then we can move forward with drilling the holes in the bracket and starting the whole process of mounting it. Bench bleeding method. I don't want the powder coated finish here to get messed up, so like when I did this one I just dunked the whole thing in brake fluid. Right now what I'm going to do is fill both cups with a little bit of brake fluid, hold the hoses underneath, pump the handbrake, and basically do that until there's no bubbles left so we can try and get as much air out of this master cylinder as possible. Alright, so I consolidate down to 1 cup. I don't know why I started with 2 cups, but so basically now when I pull, no air bubbles. Let's see if I can hold this in here. So pulling. It's that top right one that we're looking at. That's the outlet. We're not getting any air bubbles coming out of there anymore like we were. So basically that shows that it is properly bench bled. It was taking a while because one of the fittings was a little loose. That one, there was some fluid coming out of it, but I gave it another quarter turn and we're dry now, so we're good. All right, so now the lines are reattached. We have some markings made up here for the handbrake as to where we're going to drill some holes for it, and then once it is all mounted we will move forward to the bleeding process. So I'm going to hit up Tyler now, get an idea when he'll be around to have him let me run over to his house and drill these holes out. And based off of that, I'm probably just going to start now with putting the speed bleeders into the rear brake calipers. So what we're going to do is replace the factory one with this little speed bleeder from Dorman. It has a little check valve inside of it that doesn't require another person to be here opening and closing the bleeder valve. So the way that we're doing the bleeding now, Steph's in the car. She's pumping the foot brake like 5 times, holding the foot brake down, pulling the handbrake back, and then releasing the handbrake and bringing the foot brake back up and repeating that process. With the speed bleeders, it kind of makes it easier. I had the lines come off of the bleeder valves into some red cups. You can see the one sitting over there. And then basically so that the hose, even though the check valve's nice, the hose was inside of like some fluid in the cup, so I can see if there were still bubbles coming out. And basically we went until we had no bubbles, and it actually went a lot quicker than when we were trying to bleed the eBay master cylinder. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but the process did go quicker, and it feels like there's a little bit less slop in the handbrake bracket, or in the handbrake when you pull it. So gonna go to Tyler's now, and we're gonna drill some holes, hope that they line up, and get this thing mounted into the floor. All right, so we're back from Tyler's. We drilled out all the holes. We are getting the shifter base mounted back down and tight. All right, and there is no bolt here because way back in the day when I took the automatic shifter assembly out, that bolt snapped. Been lazy, haven't taken it off. The handbrake's gonna sit right here. Those holes line up and those holes line up. So now I'm gonna tighten the handbrake down and we can put it all back together and see how well everything fits. All right, so here we go. Center console, radio, all the stuff is back in. I really liked that I utilized this space with the getting rid of the factory handbrake. I have the carpet pieces that will wedge down in there and cover everything up all nice. So right now I'm just threading back on. I finally have a shift boot again too, now that that bracket isn't taking the place. I'm just threading back on the Serial 9 shifter, my big weighted shift knob. I'm able to go into first. There's no interference. Second is the gear that I will most likely be drifting in. So the shifter will be back here while I'm doing the handbrake thing here. There's no movement. We finally have no play. That 1/4" steel is doing the trick. And we have no play in the handbrake. And I have no doubt that this thing is going to perform well at the first Club Loose event. All right, guys, so here it is, the finished result. We got the side panel back in. We got this little panel here back in. Everything is mounted and secured. So we have a nice, secure 1/4" plate mount. This all mounts up nice and snug here. 1/4" plate. There is no movement in this thing at all when pulling the handbrake. Moving back, we have the Wilwood GS Compact Master Cylinder. Just to recap, all we had to do was swap over the rod from the eBay Master Cylinder in order to make that work. We got our nice Russell stainless steel braided lines here. We didn't have to extend them at all. Everything worked out perfect. So I'm gonna start cleaning up here, guys, and I'll touch on, let's see what we got going on next. Basically, today was a really productive day and I'm super happy with how everything turned out. We did the spark plugs in the Trailblazer. We cleaned the throttle body in the Trailblazer. We took that out afterwards, and we thought the truck actually needed motor mounts. It doesn't. When you sit and drive at a stop sign or a red light, it would vibrate really bad, and we thought it was motor mounts. Did the spark plugs, cleaned the throttle body. There's no vibration at all now, so it must have been an actual idle issue. That's done. Then we moved on to the 3000. Made a handbrake mount. Ran to Tyler's house. Shout out Tyler. Thank you so much for letting me, for drilling out for me with the drill press. Came in clutch with that. But we got the plate mounted up. First try, worked out perfectly. We got everything bled. There is zero play. All I need to do is get a taller piece of pipe to use as the handle. I'll grab that sometime this week. But there is zero play in the handbrake, and just having the Wilwood unit on there is going to be so much better than the eBay master cylinder, and I'm super excited to try it out. I'm even more excited for the first event, which is March 31st, than I was before, because I know that like the car is just everything's taking shape. The things that I needed to get done before that, the tips from Reese from the last event, I'm finally putting into place. And the only thing left is we're going to try and make some rack spacers. But I'm going to have to save that for another day because we're running out of sunlight. I got to get this whole setup here cleaned up, get the car back in the garage, and we're having a car meet on Tuesday, so that's probably going to be the next video. I'm probably not going to work on the car tomorrow night. I'll probably just go to the gym. And then Tuesday night, beautiful night, we're going to be having a car meet. So we'll have plenty of video. That'll probably be the next one. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to the channel. I love seeing this channel grow and what it has become. Drop a comment. Let me know if you guys have questions. I love answering questions when I can in the comments, but I'll see you guys next time.